preparing to sail away from Paros this morning. The weather report is not pretty. Another crew member and I volunteered last night at dinner to be the ones who got up early and went to buy some more groceries because we could be on anchor the next few days, which means we're like just on the boat, and the island that we're visiting, our skipper said, might not have normal grocery stores and stuff like that, so we should probably buy some more food. We walked quite a ways to find a butcher because the other guys on board wanted some ground beef. This is the road that takes us back to the harbor. Anybody want an ice cream or some diesel? You could get them both right here. Before this video continues, I have to tell you about two things that happened that I didn't talk about in the actual video. You know, if you've watched from the very beginning of this series, I told you at the time I was trying to stay diplomatic because I thought maybe I could run into problems if the skipper ended up seeing these videos, but now I honestly couldn't give a. So two examples of what it was like to be around and under the control, because he was the captain, the skipper. He was the one responsible for the ship, and you follow his orders basically. That morning when we woke up, we asked him, all right, what time are we going to be sailing away? We wanted to be prepared. We wanted to minimize as much stress as possible and have figured out who was doing what, who was going to be standing where, and when we needed to be ready. But he didn't give us any information. He said, we've got time. If you want to make breakfast, go ahead and make breakfast. I'll let you know when it's time to go. Went into the city to find the butcher shop, came back. The other crew had made a nice breakfast and had it all set up on the table. And literally, as soon as we got the first bite of toast into our mouth, he came up out of his cabin and was like, you better hurry up. We got to get going. And we all looked at each other like, oops. Huh? Instead of saying something like, well, we've got a little bit of time, but let's try to be ready to go by 8:30, he said, do whatever you want, make breakfast, I'll let you know when it's time to go. And then he waited for us to make breakfast and then decided, it's time to go. Another thing that happened that morning, I decided to give him kind of like a second chance. I tried to sort of open my heart to the positive energy of the universe. And when he was sitting down inside the ship alone, I went down there and I told him, listen, I know I told you in advance that I have my boating license now and that I'm really interested in learning more about sailing, but I just want to reiterate to you that I have very little experience. So when you involve me in any docking and sailing away maneuvers or hoisting the sails or whatever, it's better to just kind of pretend that I don't know what I'm doing. I need a little bit of an explanation in comparison to somebody who's done like maybe 4 or 5 sailing tours. It's better to just pretend that I don't know what I'm doing and come at it in that direction. Just to give him like all the invitation in the world to explain things to me, because I thought, okay, maybe there's a small chance that there's been some kind of misunderstanding here and that he thinks that we're all like really experienced sailors. 2 of the crew were, but the other ones of us were not. And like I said, I thought, okay, well, I'm just going to invite him again to explain as much as he wants and just let him know I need more explanation. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm interested in learning more about it, and that's why I'm here. Well, that didn't change the way he went about doing things whatsoever. And after we had gotten out of the port, which was once again super stressful, somehow we had an anchor chain over our anchor chain, or our anchor chain was over somebody else's anchor chain. So we had to drop anchor again and go past it and then lift anchor and hope that only our chain came up. And we finally got out to sea, and it was time to hoist the sails. This is something that I have like 0 experience doing. And like I said, I told him, just think about me as being a beginner. So we're sitting there in the cockpit. He says, it's time to hoist the sails. And he starts, as usual, barking out orders, which, like I said, can be a leadership style, but it's only going to work if the people you are barking the orders at understand what it is they need to do, and we did not. I did not. And once again, that sort of panicky, tense atmosphere overcomes all of us as we're trying to do what it is he wants us to do, and he points to me and he says, Morgan, I can't even repeat what the original order was because I don't have the knowledge to remember what it was. But after the first time saying whatever it was to me, he realized, okay, I'm not doing it right. And he said to me, first, take the line out of the self-tailor. And I was like, what's the self-tailor? And he says it again, take the line out of the self-tailor. And so I just turned around and grabbed one of the lines and started undoing it from the thing it was in. And he says even louder, no, the self-tailor. And I, I'm somebody who usually tends to thrive on harmony. There are people who enjoy being part of conflict and being part of the solution to that.
I'm not one of those people.
I usually try to be nice to everybody. I try to find the good in people. I try not to be overly critical of people or be insulting to people, but I do have my limits, and I found it again in that moment because I was just not willing to take this guy's BS anymore. And I looked straight at him and I said, say it again. Say it again, buddy. Do you think I'm all of a sudden going to understand what you mean just if you keep repeating it? I don't know what a self-tailor is. I told you this morning that I don't know what I'm doing. And if you just keep repeating self-tailor, you're going to get the same response. And that is nothing because I don't know what that is. So if you want me to do something, you're going to need to explain to me what I need to do. And you know what? I'll make it really easy for you right now. I'm going to point at things and you tell me which one of these is the self-tailor, whatever that is. Is it this thing down here? Is that a self-tailor? No. Oh, okay. Is it this thing up here? Is that what you're talking about? And yeah, I mean, I laugh about it now, but I don't like to be that person. I feel like people who see me like that get the wrong impression of what I'm like because that's like 0.001% of what it's usually like to be around me. And then what happened was not only did he not want to talk to me anymore, which was actually a good thing from as far as I'm concerned, but I think that the other crew on board also maybe got a little bit scared of me at that moment. But later in the day, I apologized to the crew for being like that, and they all were completely understanding and actually thanked me for speaking up in that tone because it seemed to be the only way to get through to this dude. I would like to remind you again that we were paying to be there. He's not paying us. We were on vacation, and I think I said this before, but I've achieved quite a few things in my life, and I don't need to be paying somebody to scream at and belittle me. And now I'm gonna shoot back to the videos from then. Once we got outside of the bay and the protection of the island, the sea was the roughest we had had. The wind was gusty and strong, and to stay on course, we had to steer against the pattern of the waves, which made for a really rocky ride. After my outburst and about 10 minutes of silence in the cockpit, the captain retreated into the salon to do whatever he was doing down there. I think he was answering emails. I took over duties at the helm and found it to be thrilling and terrifying at the same time. It was scary to not have the captain in the cockpit under those conditions, but I don't know what it would have been like if he was sitting next to me either. This vessel had no hydraulic assistance, so keeping on course was a full body workout. After about a half hour, one of the other crew members offered to take over, which I gladly accepted. I didn't know it then, but that would be the last time I would pilot this vessel. technically, it doesn't seem like anything will happen. Did you hear that?